just different.
We gon' set this off so right. Keep that camera rolling all night. This is a movie, so play your position. Me and my girls out here on a mission. Got 'em looking dead on sight. Can't help but to stare ahead so tight. So bring the lights and keep them flashing. You know how it is, lights, camera, action. We gon' keep this party jumping. Gotta give it a little something just to keep them fellas looking. You know how it is. Got 'em hooked, I got 'em crazy on the music. You know how we do. Let's party all night long. Rock until the break of dawn.
Love show, baby. Y'all know where we let our voices empower. We are here again, back in full effect, in the building. You know who I am. Obviously, I'm the fire starter. Andre the George Robinson here with the lovely family, the number one family in the world, man. I'm super pumped. I'm super psyched. I'm so super pumped and super psyched. And I'm going to start the show off with this. While everybody else introduce themselves, I'm going to start the show off a little something like this. Getting down, down, down. Let's go.
Yeah.
Who we be? The number one sports community family in the world.
Oh,
That new jack swing for y'all. Y'all don't know nothing about that.
better do the thing again.
Selena, that's gonna be a no.
No, do the thing. You did it last week.
That's, you know, you gotta get a different.
Who we got on this panel? This panel is hot. Let them know who y'all is.
Friday, people. Hey.
Round up the posse, jump in my ride.
Like and share the show, by the way.
A monster jam, feel the rhythm, pump up the sound. It's so good.
Oh, DJ, this is the only time like Tuesday mornings.
Oh, that's my memory. Yes.
Friday evening is the only time you can play this song.
Oh, you said the evening.
You
Perfect.
can listen to the radio, play the song on like Wednesday evening, Tuesday morning. Like, listen to the song. He said, "Just got paid. It's Friday night." Please think about finna get paid. It's Tuesday morning. Wish I got paid in the afternoon.
I paid. Paycheck in hand.
Oh,
Waving
good.
it
Oh,
around. Getting down.
okay.
Not the remake.
Okay.
Listen. We about to let our voices empower. We having a little fun right now. Come on, put some lights and hearts in the air if y'all want to have a little fun with us right here on
Yes.
Friday
Get 'em up,
night,
people.
6 o'clock. This is what we do, baby. We get it started.
Got a
Let's
little
go.
bit of wine. Just a little bit, y'all. Just a little bit.
I don't know how to do the likes and stuff on the laptop.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, get down.
So you telling animals to get down.
What's your favorite?
Tell everybody to get down.
She telling
Right. Get down.
everybody getting down.
Ooh.
All
Yellow.
right. So y'all know what it is. We got Letitia Hardison in the building right here. Be More, Baltimore, Sister Gunner in the building. What's good, sis?
Hey guys, I'm a little hoarse, but bear with me this week.
I'm
She
loving
here.
that background. I'm loving that background. You see the
I
background?
know. I love it.
We got the world.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Selena Seibert, what's good, Selena?
It is good. It is going. How are you guys?
You know,
Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
We got Elena Vitamin E. She feeding the people. You know all that.
Hey. Blessings, everybody. Blessings. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining in. Make sure you guys share.
Like and share.
And share.
Yeah.
Like
And
and
by
share.
the way,
Comment,
Thanks.
call in, do it all.
and by the way, afterwards, you make sure you tune into Elena TV. Oh, we got the Alphabet Show too. Marcus Betts Alphabet's football show. Make sure you tune into that. And then we just tune in with that. Tune in into Elena TV. Y'all know what to do. Tell them Elena.
On YouTube, subscribe, get into it.
Yeah, that's it. There it is. Frederick Wilson II. What's good, my brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's up? Coming to you from Vegas. It's hot outside. It's about arrest the murderers who are moonlighting as police officers' degrees outside.
Ooh, whoa.
Right. It's a good day for that.
It's a great day for that. It's a phenomenal day. It was a good day. The day before that was a good day. Last week, 2 weeks before that, it's a lot of good days.
Good day to put the hammer down on social injustice. Oh my goodness.
Murderers moonlighting.
It's also a good day to recognize those who are doing good in the community. So if you're doing something in the community that's positive, you make sure you hit us on, bringing it full circle, that citizen's voice, or a matter of fact, man, just request to come on the Love Show so we can talk to you, so we can get empowered. All right. Now that the fire is started, we got to get into these topics. Ooh, boy, oh boy. One in particular. Where they at though? Maybe we should have played that. Where they at though? Where they at though? That is going to be the first topic of discussion, folks, as we talk about where they at though. Frederick, where they at though?
Are you gonna start with me?
First.
All right, so we going up to the northwest. Is that what we doing right now?
That's where we going.
Yeah,
I need you to do a favor, Ron. I need you to do a favor. I need you to get you like a towel or something like that and wave it when you need to cut me off because I'm a.
Oh, I got one.
Me.
Hold on, right here. Here go the towel, right here. I'll wave it
right.
whenever you ready.
When y'all be like, damn, Fred been talking for a minute. Just go ahead and wave it.
No, just go ahead and wave it.
So we sitting here in the land of the free, home of the brave, and right now we got some places. One place in particular, Portland. Shout out to those y'all up in Portlandia. Well, we got some things going on. We got some developments. We've got federal troops that have been sent to respond to the civil disobedience, the civil unrest, the protests that have largely turned into. We'll say riots for lack of a better term, because people are frustrated, people are outraged, people are fed up, people are sick of what's going on in this country. One of the largest issues being police brutality. If you're not aware of this, I don't know where you've been for the past 3 months, but welcome to Earth, because we are in the midst of the largest civil rights protest this planet has ever seen. Which, on a side note, for the people that say it's just a few bad apples, it's funny how a few bad apples have literally gotten the world's attention. But that's neither here nor there.
Right.
Jello Beats, holla at me.
That there are individuals in military garb, unmarked, that are essentially snatching people up off the streets, throwing them into unmarked cars, detaining them, arresting them without telling them right there what they're being arrested for, questioning them on site. Now the state attorney general filed a lawsuit citing unlawful tactics, seeking a restraining order against these federal agents. Now, here's the thing. Not to get into this whole nother subject, but when it comes to the subject of 9/11, I think that's a subject I think 9/11 is complete BS. I think, that official story is a bunch of hogwash. But here's what came out of 9/11. We got the Department of Homeland Security formed in November of 2002 as a response to 9/11. Aspect that would be applicable to this situation is their job is to prepare for domestic emergencies. Okay, you've got civil unrest, you've got people vandalizing and out and just in the streets raising hell, rightfully so. That would constitute, domestic emergencies. Y'all would agree? It's kind of an emergency. You got people on the streets thinking, okay, turmoil. I got a bunch of notes right here. So basically what they're doing, they have rapid deployment teams that are formed of Customs, Border Patrol agents, the TSA agents, Coast Guard, Immigration and Customs, who back up the Federal Protective Service, which is an umbrella branch of the Department of Homeland Security, and they're responsible for protecting federal property, so federal buildings, things like that. Now, according to 40 U.S. Code 1315 of the Homeland Security Act, the department secretary can deputize other federal agents to assist the Federal Protective Service. So that's why these other agents are being brought in. They're being deputized. Hey, we need these agents. Boom, come in. Bibbidi bop, bobbidi boom. Now you part of us. You can do what we want to do. Now, these agents can carry firearms and arrest the accused. Again, accused. Just we think you did some stuff without a warrant. Conduct investigations on and off property. So basically, we can investigate you right here, or we can take you somewhere. Hence the unmarked vans, and investigate you off property. It basically undermines the checks and balances that's placed on the Department of Homeland Security, because it offers these officers have essentially limitless power in a lot of these situations. So you have these officers that come from a different branch of service. They are brought in to help. They are deputized under this act, and then they are essentially given limitless power to do and say what they want to do. Now, that should be the end of the conversation right there, because anybody that's been in this country longer than 15 minutes should see the absolute problem with this.
Right.
And there's so much to unpack here, because I've been talking about this on my personal Facebook page, and because I've been questioning for like the last, at least last year, whatever. Like I'm like, yo, all the people that want to, talk about the Second Amendment and, oh, you can't take our Second Amendment. Where y'all at? Because the thing that people realize about the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment is not for you to have guns to protect yourself and your property. That didn't need to be an amendment, and it damn sure didn't need to be the Second Amendment, the second most important amendment. The reason why it's the Second Amendment is that part about tyrannical government. If the government get to acting funky and stank, you can act funky and stank right back. How funky and stank we waiting for the government to act? We got people being essentially snatched off the streets and not giving any type of due process that we are normally familiar with. Things are being denied. Not to mention, don't we have a government, a power structure? Did they not just put a hit out on a judge's family because she was involved in a case of sex trafficking for the high and mighty powers? How tyrannical are we waiting for this government to get? And I was talking to a gentleman who lives down in Florida. He was like, well, when it comes down here, so basically your attitude is because it's not happening in your city, it's not your problem. Do we not see the ridiculousness?
A lot of people look at it like that.
By the time it comes, now this is the United States. By the time it comes from Portland all the way down to Texas, it's going to be a little bit too late, don't you think? You know how many cities they going to go through? Right now they talking
about cities he's going to go to.
Chicago. They talk about other cities, including Albuquerque, which y'all know I'm from New Mexico. I'm like, Albuquerque got less than 500,000 people. Why is Albuquerque on that list? But anyway, it's like, what, as an American people, what are we waiting for? Like, why are we sitting around watching this happen? And the problem is because people are looking and be like, well, I don't agree with what they're protesting. I'm not in favor of protesting against police brutality or whatever they're protesting in. So, oh, well, it serves them right. And they don't see the big picture. It's not about what you're protesting. Anytime the act of protesting, the right of protesting is threatened, everybody needs to be involved, because the next time it is an issue that you feel like you need to protest, you go out there and somebody snatch you and throw you in a van, you're going to be looking around like, oh my God, what's going on? It's like that. What was that? When they came for the Poles, I didn't say anything because I wasn't Polish. When they came for I didn't. And then when they came for me, there was nobody left. This is where we're at right now. Actually, we are already, we a few steps into this. So this is an issue that everybody needs to not only pay attention to, but we need to look, man.
My thing, okay. Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Okay. I know you ain't see the flag, but it's okay. I just want to say I agree with you. Oh, I agree with you 100%. Shout out to Portland. For Portland to be known for one of the whitest cities, right now they've become the center of the Black Lives Matter movement. Right. So I just want to say shout out to the people. They've been going hard for 8 consecutive weeks, going hard. But my thing is, how can the people feel hopeful when they tear gas the mayor, who is also the commissioner of the police department? and he's standing with the people. How can the people feel hopeless when they don't care about his presence or how he stands? The feds are still doing what they want to do.
And being mocked by the president of the United States and being tear gas. Let's not leave that tidbit out. Because Trump was mocking this man.
Right. Hold on, Letitia, before you go real quick, I just want to piggyback on what she said, and I'm going to let y'all have the floor.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're talking about how Portland is a very, it's a pretty white city. Like, let's keep it a pretty white city. And you talked about how they are right now the city of the center of the Black Lives Matter movement. That just shows you that it's an issue of right and wrong. Like, when you get down to it, yes, Black people and police brutality, but when you get down to it, it's an issue of right and wrong. It's an issue of tyranny. It's an issue of these agents of the state, this government, the way it is treating us, the way it is allowed to treat us, the way it is acting with essential impunity, the audacity. We are going to do what we want to do and dare you to say something about it. We're going to treat you how we want to treat you and dare you to say something about it. Dare you. The people that aren't in agreement with this movement, I'm going to keep my questions. Why? Why are you not on the wrong? Why are you on the wrong side of this movement? It's about wrong and right. And for the people who want to be like, whoa, will cops kill white people too? Exactly. So what you're saying is that cops brutalize people. Just because black people, we get tired of it happening to us and we stand up to say something about it. The fact of the matter is, cops brutalize all people. So why are you on the other side of the fence? If you are against this movement, I need you to tell me why. If you are against the organization of Black Lives Matter, I'm okay with that because I have issues with the organization myself. But if you are against this movement, I really need you to look me in the damn face and tell me why.
Why? You need an explanation.
Y'all wrong here. Look.
Ooh, go teacher. Go ahead, baby.
Again, I'm hoarse, so I can't.
Take your time, baby. Take your time.
As much as I want to say, but I will start with this: the right and wrong aspect, and the right and wrong aspect came into play weeks ago as we watched the world stop and unify, as we watched Samoans do their war dance, as we watched the British, like everybody is standing around going,
this is right or wrong, like Fred said.
Going on over there. It's a human issue, people.
Right.
This issue was not black, white, Asian. It's a
human decency
issue.
Human decency.
You cannot treat people like animals and say that you're a human being. You cannot act as if you are superior based on skin. First of all, it's 2020. Why does anyone care about skin color in 2020? When we have a virus running rampant, taking us out.
Killing everybody, don't care what race you is. Taking you clean out.
Why is race an issue? I'm just so frustrated because, as Fred said, we have people saying, well, I'm against the movement. Well, let me flip the coin. Let me round up a whole bunch of white people and start beating them and taking their land and taking their resources and pushing them into poverty and creating projects. Now, understand the projects was a project. Somebody sat there and said, what would you do if you put a bunch of low-income people in one place? How would they survive? That was a whole project.
They don't want to talk about
human issues here is what's bothering me. There's no way you, white, black, man, woman, everybody should have an issue with that.
Right.
Because here's the thing. Let's remove the Black Lives Matter movement from it. What was going on before we got here, y'all? Trump has led a campaign on immigrants.
He's the agent of chaos. He's the agent of chaos.
The Black Lives Matter situation has changed the narrative for these babies that are still in cages while we fighting for human liberties.
Right.
So that paints a bigger picture because we have children separated from their families. And what happened in slavery?
The same
We
thing.
snatched children from their families and sold off the men and was treated like cattle. That's the same thing they're doing to the immigrants now. You shipping them off and leaving these babies in cages. It's inhuman. It's indecent at best.
Bring it in,
There
Selena.
is no way for you to sit here and tell me that you're any kind of human if you don't see what's wrong with these United States. Because we're claiming to be the best country in the world and you are ripping its people apart. You're taking human dignity from people for no reason. Because you don't like the color of their skin. Because they immigrants. We're all immigrants. This is the native land, and you push them out of their land. It doesn't belong to any of us. So how dare you tell me that I gotta concede to your white ass? I'm sorry, network. Here we are. I'm hoarse and I'm angry because we still talking about color, and they are infringing on our rights. They are beating us down, and we all are getting ready to be imposed with the monarchy that Trump wants. He been running democracy like a whole monarchy. He wants absolute power, and we're giving it to him because we can't unify and push back. That man is insane. He is insane, and we letting him run amok. He has made a mockery of our democracy. He's made a mockery of our people, and he's doing it on your backs. So my call is white men that won't check him. Because your money not going to save you from the insane. It don't work that way. He crazy all the way. Just like he knocking on our doors and snatching us, you next. Because you don't agree with him. You next. They going to disappear you and all your blue blood money. You better write a check for me. Because I'm telling you it's coming. Because we can't come together on this issue. I'm in timeout, y'all. I'm really losing my voice.
Well, evangelist, the evangelist has spoken. Period.
I wasn't aware this was going to take us to church. I don't have no loose change, so can we please not pass the collection plate around right now? I ain't bring no dollars.
Selena, I need you to come in. I need you to come on, baby. Come on with it.
Okay.
Bring it home.
All right. So I'm going to start from the beginning. I think his thoughts are a little bit scattered now all of a sudden. So I think that I have posted this before. I have said this before. This country right now is anything but united. Anything but united. And the name of our country should change because that's a fucking lie. That's a lie. We're not united. There are going to be things that some of all of us are going to be divided on. Just the 5 of us here are going to be divided on. You know, and that we are going to 100% disagree on no matter what. But I am seeing with everything going on with, and I am right now, Trump is a fascist. He is using law and order to scare people. He is doing something that politicians have been doing for a long time, saying these animals, these thugs. Sound familiar from the last election when he was saying the same thing about Mexicans? Yeah. These animals, these thugs, these violent thugs. Okay, there's been violence, but the real issue is why these federal agents were brought in was for graffiti and statues. That's why they were brought in. And now it's turning into more. It's turning into federal agents coming into cities and snatching people up off the streets. And that's now, eerie. And what, okay, have any of you been watching the news? Like, do you actually watch the news? Because I love to watch Fox News and I love to watch CNN News because it's funny to see the directive that they're coming from. Now, I have been forced this week specifically to watch Fox News. It's been shoved down my throat for 8 hours a day. And Fox News is trying to scare the crap out of people with Portland. They are trying to scare the crap out of people with Portland, saying that we're thugs and the protesters are thugs and we need law and order. And then what they're doing is they're snatching up people off the streets for graffiti, for little crimes. And that's the law and order. That's getting tough on crime. That's what the 13th on Netflix has been saying in the documentary. They're criminalizing people for petty crimes, but they're making it look like they're getting tough on law.
Right.
And that's what they're doing. Now, we do have some positive things coming forward from all this as well. We do have some government coming forward and saying, hey, Trump, keep your federal agents out of my state. Keep your federal agents out of here. We don't want you. I've seen my own government come out today and say, we don't want, because his administration said they're coming to Milwaukee. He said, we don't want you guys here. The mayor in Portland has been saying it. Get out of here. We don't want you here. We don't need you here. Yes, we have graffiti. We have some rioting going on, but we don't need you here for that.
Right.
You know, Colorado is coming forward. They have made some positive changes. The government itself. I'm not saying it's all getting fixed overnight. It's not. But there are some positive changes. However, it's an election year, and Trump is using the same thing that he's been using, law and order, tough on crime. And it's not just Trump who's done it. Every politician has done it. Tough on crime. Go ahead, Frederick.
Couple things there to touch on what you talked about with like Fox News and them using Portland and things like that to scare people. Y'all know what's hilarious to me, and I know y'all seen or heard about the Trump campaign ad, like, oh, in Biden's America, as you're showing footage from things that are going on right now under the person that's telling you that that's going to be somebody else's America. That's just hilarious to me.
Yeah.
But it just speaks to the mindset of the collective American people and how easy to manipulate it are. But here's the thing I want to talk about. So you got, and I want to make this very clear. Anybody that knows me knows how I feel about President Trump. So I'm not going to go into that. If you don't know, oh well. I don't want to make it where we just pile on that. But
so real quick, before you get into that, let me let y'all know right now. I actually just got somebody from Portland who's in that area right now, who lives in that area. I'm about to get him on the show in just a moment. So go ahead and finish, and right after you're done, we get him on the show, and after he finishes saying what he's gonna say, we're gonna go to commercial break. So go ahead, Freddie.
All right. So we got this administration that wants to send federal troops. They send them to Portland. They talk about sending them to these other cities, right? Because these people are out in the streets. Because these people are defacing federal property. We want to get these people out of the streets. But you know what nobody's talking about? How about we address the issue of why they're in the streets? Because if you just pull people off the streets, somebody else gonna come to the streets. Maybe we should be talking about why they're in the streets and addressing the problem. That way we don't have to take them off the streets. They'll just go home when the problem is dealt with. Why is it that nobody, and again, let's start at the top. This administration, y'all are talking about getting people off, just pulling them off the streets. Why aren't you talking about pulling them into the courtrooms, pulling them into the civil buildings and changing the problems that they are telling you about? Because if a large percentage of the country is telling you there's a problem and the rest of the world is looking at our house and seeing that there's a problem, why are we not talking about these problems?
All right. So
just a little, let me put this out here and dangle to you.
Put that gravy on.
It's a problem when CNN is like, what is going on in Portland? CNN like literally said, what is going on in Portland?
Right.
CNN, y'all, we in trouble.
Well. It is so good to have family. And I got my brother here, my brother Rise Up family brother, obviously, who lives right in the area. William Richter's in the house. William Richter, what's up?
Big Willie style.
What's up?
Hey.
So William, what's going on? What's going on?
What's going on in Portland?
All right. So from my understanding, I live about an hour and a half south in Eugene, Oregon. So just for everybody to a reference place of living. All right. Eugene's about 90 minutes south of Portland. the understanding is that Portland had Antifa and a few other small groups that are wanting socialism and proprietary rights, and they want to be able to share alike and free love and all this other stuff. And they wanted to take over, and they did take over a 6-block area of downtown Portland that was some under construction, some derelict housing, other things like this. And so what they've done is they barricaded themselves in for the first little while, and now the police are going in, and they've been given permission to go in and basically arrest, get photos of the Antifa leaders that they know that are out there. They're doing snatch and grabs is what they're doing. All they're doing is catch and release. They're not holding them. They're not detaining them for long periods of time. They're going in, they're grabbing, getting their pictures, and basically building a wall in a case, like a RICO case, against this whole group, and then they will come and sweep, is the understanding. That's why you're seeing all these military, militia-type guys walking in. They all grab one guy, and then they all militia themselves right back out. They're going in and grabbing the leaders of these groups that are out there, is what they're doing. And people are screaming, defund the police. Well, some of this is federal government, not just state or local. This is federal guys coming in and doing this stuff because it's considered an act of treason/terrorism. They're trying to figure out a way to get it that way at this point for this small community, because they don't want to be funded. They don't want to pay for any services that are being used, and they're running up hydro bill, like they're running up the gas and the electric and the water, and all of a sudden nobody's paying for any of this stuff, and they're trying to get everything. So they're building a case.
So
thank you for that insight.
So you're saying that Portland has a situation similar to what was going on in Seattle with the Chaz or the Chop Zone?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same idea. Portland's just trying to lock themselves into spots as well. Like, it's the same problem. It really is. And everybody's just fighting the system. Out here, it's almost like a hippie community out here. It's everybody's free love and peace and harmony and socialism. They're trying to pass it. It's a very liberal state. Very, very much a liberal state. And so if things aren't right, it's one of the worst places for transients. Like, this is part of that transient highway that they have that goes down and sweeps through New Mexico and Texas and goes across right through the south and whatnot, where if people are forced to migrate, they migrate this way, and then they migrate back the other way when they're forced back from the other end. And you have tons of transients and drugs and alcohol problems, and it's a mess, because then they're dragging transients in with them and trying to get them to jump in on the bus.
Okay. So the area that you said that this is going on, and you said it was like construction area, kind of derelict area. It's not like federal buildings and monuments and statues, right? It's just kind of a.
Not that they've reported lately. They went downtown at the courthouse a few times and tried to protest. They had a big rally the other night where they had, I think, 60,000 people or something like that down in the city courthouse area or whatnot, I think was what I saw on the news. But other than that, everybody's being contained, just like the one in Seattle. It's pretty much, they're trying to build it, because Portland and Seattle are like 45, 50 minutes away from each other. So maybe an hour or two tops, I think, and in the distance. So they have lots of people going back and forth, and that's where they're saying these Antifa leaders are doing the same thing, and that's why they're doing it up in Seattle just as much as they're doing it in Portland. These guys are doing snatch and grabs just like they are in Seattle. It really is. It's the same thing, and people are getting mad.
That is so scary. You don't know if you're gonna see these people again.
Yeah, I mean, that's
no. The problem is that they're released. The problem is they're released within 24 hours. They're held for 24 hours.
They beat them up.
They're and Snapchat. They're taking their mugshots. They get fingerprinted. They get put in the system. They get logged in, and then they get let go. It's a catch and release program. It's like you're tagging fish, tagging deer. You put them down with a trank type thing, and you tag them, and then you let them go. And what you do is you follow them. Basically, you've got them right where you want them, and now you're watching them. And now you watch and see what they do.
Yeah. Shout out to the moms in Portland.
The dads too. The dads took a stand too.
Oh yeah, and they've been standing as a unit to protect the protesters. I think it's amazing, like what they're trying to do, and they're not backing down, and they're trying to bully them, but they're not backing down because it's right is right and wrong is just wrong, you know. So shout out to Portland.
Well, I will tell you this right now. We got over 75 comments right now in the first 20 minutes. It is going nuts in the comment section.
What the people got to say.
There's so much being said. And actually, after the commercial break, we are going to get into some of what they're saying on Facebook. So if you can get your phones and look at the comment section, we all can read some of that. William Richter. Listen, the minute we started talking Portland and stuff, it just hit me like a lightning bolt. I'm like, I'm gonna go call my brother. My brother live out there right now. He out there. He's right in the midst of it. This Rise Up family is everywhere, baby. Y'all better know it. And we coming. And we coming. You heard what I said. And we coming. Straight up. All right. Now, when we return, we're gonna get into more of this. We're gonna unpack this some more. This the Love Show, baby. I know what to do. Like and share.
Kind of seems like there's two separate things going on. Like what he was talking about in that the Chaz Zone.
All right. We are back with the Love Show where we let our voices empower. Boy, oh boy, we got a whole lot of unpacking to do, folks. We are talking about Portland and everything that's going on. Letitia Hardison is in the building. You see her face. She looks very upset. She ready to talk some more. The evangelist, the sister gunner, you know, the one that's coming for you. Selena Seibert, what's good? The level head of all of us. The level head of all of us. Frederick Wilson.
I'm going through the comments.
Absolutely. Frederick Wilson II. And we got Vitamin E, Elena Fields, the person feeding the people. All right. We got William Richter on the line, straight from that area, right around Eugene. William, tell them where you from again one more time, or where you living at.
I'm living out here in Eugene, Oregon. So I live about an hour and a half south of Portland at the moment. We've had our own dealings with BLM, Antifa, the riots, the rioting, the looting. It's kind of crazy out here.
Okay.
You guys got any questions for anything else that's going on? Because I can explain a few other things that I've seen in Eugene, local stuff that just floors me. And maybe you guys can
unpack it. Hey, listen, this is what the Love Show is about. Let your voice empower. Come on, unpack it, will you?
So here's my problem is I'm living in Eugene. It's the University of Oregon lives here. And this is the University of Oregon. The Ducks are school, the biggest school out here in the West right now. And their riots lasted for 2.5 weeks. They burnt down multiple black businesses. They burnt down or broken glass, shattered windows, burnt down buildings of black owners. And they destroyed downtowns for no reason. I don't understand it. I get it if you want to protest. I fought for your right so you could protest. I served so you could fight for your right to protest. That's fine. But there's a limit to where that has to stop. They ended up having to use rubber bullets, shields, putting curfews out just like everybody else in the world at that point in time. But the black community has jumped around itself because it's a very small one out here. But they have rallied around, and the people that have supported them rallied around them as well. One of the black owners that lost his cigar shop and smoke shop started donating to all the other local businesses to help them get up and on their feet. And then everybody started donating to his to get his all repaired and fixed and back up to snuff. So this is a tight-knit community, so they don't like this kind of stuff when it comes around.
Right.
Wow. What are your guys' thoughts?
Whoa, well, who we gonna start with to continue to unpack this, because it's a definite situation that definitely needs more than a trendy news cycle, folks. Trendy news cycles, we all know about it. Things disappear with trendy news cycles, except for a lot of the peaceful protests have not, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing, but we need to stay on these issues, put pressure on these issues, continue to talk about these issues, make it aware, make people aware of these issues, put people in place with these issues, expose those people who are wrong in these issues. That needs to happen. If it doesn't happen, we're never going to change anything. It's my thought. I don't have a whole lot to say because I have a family who has a whole lot to say.
Got a lot of comments.
I have a question.
But we do got a whole lot of comments. Go ahead.
Selena, go ahead.
I just want to throw out 2 words and I want to see what happens because I want to see where it goes from here. Because I've been seeing it a couple of times, talked about it a little bit yesterday. I'm bringing it full circle, but I'm going to throw out 2 words. Martial law.
I said that. They're trying to bully us into it, but this has been their plan all along.
Oh, here's the thing. Before we unpack martial law, I want to go back to Portland, and I want to go back to the fact that government agents, federal government agents, are going into the city, which goes back to my original comment about how Trump feels like this is a monarchy and he wants absolute power. There is a reason why there are branches of the government. The federal government does not supersede the local government. Fact check me. And right. I'm sure there's somebody that's sitting in the comments that want to go there. I'm not going to call you out, but fact check me. There's a reason why there are mayors and governors and then a federal branch. So when your government overreaches their power,
right,
as this administration has, and goes into a city that you weren't welcome in because the mayor didn't ask for your help. And it couldn't have been but so far out of control because the governor of said state didn't go in there and say, control your people before I come in. So you overreached your power. You disrespectful prick. I said it. I'm sick of 45. I'm sick of the people who justify his actions
Enable him.
as if we don't live in a democracy. And I'm sick of people arguing with me and don't understand politics. I want you to take your butt back to the American government that was ninth grade. And you go sit in that class and you figure out what branch of the government does what and why. And then you come back and talk to me.
Okay, so William Richter has something to say in response to what you just said, Letitia. Go ahead, William.
Okay. I just don't think that's a full. I don't disagree with you on most of your points. I think that the mayor of Portland understood what was going on in Seattle, and I think the point was to get it out there and get ahead of it. And I think that's why they knew, with the federal government having some knowledge and having things and confirming suspicions and whatnot, that some of the leaders have moved back and forth between Seattle and Portland, or they're traveling up and down trying to build a bigger regime, whatnot, may the case be, whatever, or conference or conference, whatever they want to do, back and forth between each other. But Portland didn't want to see what Seattle went through. And I think that's the reason why you're seeing the way it is. And I think that's not, and again, Kate Brown out here is not well liked out here as governor of Oregon. She is literally imposing her will for no reason. Like, she's tried to take out the logging community, and she's literally got people at her doorstep every other day protesting her at her house and at Capitol Hill there in Salem. Like, she is at the best an incompetent governor. Not saying that she could do a job with better education, but I think she could be better. And in peacetime, she's been a terrible governor, and people want her out. And the voices will probably be heard this November. But I think if people understand where they're coming from, the people are tired out here. They don't want to see the rioting, the looting, the bullshit, the nonsense. They over it and moved out of the community.
All right, so let me read some of these comments real quick. Chuck Colby said they are using graffiti on federal buildings as the cause. What a smokescreen. Letitia Hardison said exactly to what Ryan Go, my brother Ryan Go, aka Mr. Seth Rollins, voiceover himself. The Constitution lays out the autonomy of the states and local government. The only time feds can supersede something in a state is if it's an existing federal law or state local government is doing something that harms the infrastructure of the federal government. Chuck Colby said unconstitutional power. William, yes, I understand. I definitely thank you and appreciate you for coming on. William Richter, y'all make sure y'all tune in to AFC Feast, where they talk sports talk from the AFC East all day long. Mr. Off the Richter Scale himself.
I'm all over the place.
He's all over the place.
I'm on hiatus and all over the place.
That's facts. We appreciate you, William Richter.
Thank you, Dre. Thank you, panel, for taking a few minutes to listen to what I had to say. I appreciate it, and you guys all have a wonderful, excellent show, and look forward to hearing from you guys in the background.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, not a problem. Anytime, guys. Anytime. You guys have a great day.
You too.
All right, my brother. All right, William Richter in the house. That's what's up. Ryan Go said, F that. You declare martial law, I'm declaring independence. You'll have to come take my life if you want to take my SHI. You know what? Sugar, honey, iced tea, folks.
That's it.
Ryan Go said, can you go ahead?
Read that new one, Dre. Chris Fisher. Read that one.
Oh boy, what up, Chris?
No, you read it. Go ahead, you read it. I can't see it. You read it.
Okay, so
Chris Fisher said, why do people keep bringing up MLK? He had a super high disapproval rate and got shot in the face. And to piggyback on what Mr. Fisher said, we're not in the 50s. We're not dignified Negroes anymore. That's why we're not rolling with MLK.
Hello.
We are getting ready to finish the mission that Brother Malcolm set out. Because now peaceful protest is ignored. So now we're pushing back. I'm not a violent woman, but I don't see 45 flinching. I don't see him moving to make change. I don't see his people.
He likes the chaos. He loves it. He loves the chaos.
I don't see his people setting forth legislation that will calm this down. Because here's the thing. The change that we want lies in them books, our laws.
Mm-hmm.
We're not seeing anybody come to meet about said laws and said injustice. As a matter of fact, they getting ready to go on break. So no, it's not working, people. And I understand you don't want to see anything burned down. Neither do I. But I will burn it down before they have my sons. And you take that to your grave.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So
Ryan Go said, hold on. Ryan Go said, can you really blame people for getting wild? Voices have gone unheard for far too long. The Boston Tea Party was exactly the same thing. People weren't being heard, so they hit the king where it hurts, in his pocket.
You got to get psycho on them. You got to get crazy on them. You know what I mean? Let them know you ain't playing, you know?
So Chris talking up with MLK, he said he was talking about the white conservatives that like to use MLK. So me and Chris, because Chris will be on my Facebook page, and we have a lot of white conservatives that'll do that. Oh, well, we need to go back to MLK and his way worked. And me and Chris be the first one like, what do you mean it worked? Like,
right.
He was shot in the face, and 52 years later, we are literally fighting the exact same fight. So maybe my definition of work is different than your definition of work. But the reason is because MLK is a palatable Negro. He was packaged and sold to white. Oh, look at MLK. And he spoke so eloquently, and he marched, and they sang so softly. And oh my God, and it was non-violent, and we love to see that because because it didn't do anything. Yeah, it got some variety and it got attention. But again, 52 years after he was shot in the face, and the reason I say that is because I hate every January we celebrate MLK and people say, "Oh, it's a shame that he died." Died?
Assassinated.
Just died. Martin Luther King Jr. was murdered because he was shot in the face. And if you want to take it a step further to the conspiracy theory that he was then smothered in the hospital, but either way, either one of those scenarios, that's a murder. That's a deliberate murder. And the reason why he was not murdered in 1964 when the Civil Rights Act was passed, but he was not murdered until 1968. Side note, 10 years before I was born, for those of y'all that think it's ancient history, is because that was when Dr. Martin Luther King, that we get packaged and served, wasn't that same Dr. Martin Luther King. That was the Dr. Martin Luther King that realized, you know what, I've been going about this all wrong. You know what, this nonviolent stuff ain't gonna work. You know what, I feel I may have led my people into a burning house. You know what, we're gonna have to switch up these tactics. That's when they was like, oh, now you gotta go. See, when you was just building bridges, taking ass whoopings and marching and giving nice little speeches, we can keep you around. Now you're actually talking about solutions-based issues. Now we got to take you out. So he was shot in the face. And 52 years later, we are in these streets in the same manner, talking about these same issues. Now, they may have manifested themselves a little bit differently, but it's still the same issue. So explain to me how something can work if 52 years later you have been murdered.
In the same boat.
And let's
hold on. I don't usually talk. I gotta interject. I have to interject because for the first time, I'm going to say this. I totally disagree with you, my brother. I totally disagree with you, and I'm gonna tell you why I disagree with you. I'm about to give you some premise. You ready for this? First and foremost, I am not about to sit here and allow people to just act like Martin Luther King Jr. and the stuff that he did went for nothing. Let's stop that. Miss me with that. That's
what I was getting ready to say.
What I will say is maybe he didn't accomplish everything he was supposed to, but to say that he was packaged to people, and that's how. And he was some type of agenda agenda to reach white folks. Okay, so let me tell you on December 1st, 1955, when the African American woman Rosa Parks refused to give her seat up, and he led the Montgomery bus boycott. And on December 20th, 1956, the Supreme Court ruled that segregation on public buses was non-constitutional. Hold on, time out. The boycott lasted for 385 days, and during the time, King was arrested and his home was bombed and subjected to abuse and threats. So we're gonna say King didn't do nothing. That's just number one. Number two, let's be clear. King was the first president of the SCLC. If we want to stay here and talk, you know what the SCLC is, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. The Southern Christian Leadership Conference in 1957 that coordinated efforts and had a large role in American civil rights movement. We're gonna sit here. He didn't lead the Birmingham campaign. He didn't lead that in the 1960s.
I was trying to interject before you did that.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Letitia.
Because you totally. This is what the problem is. Frederick's delivery
by white people. I didn't mean that King was like, oh, let me
right. Which Frederick said
use packaged by white people. White people were like, here's a Negro that y'all can look up to because that's what I meant by that. And number two, when I said he didn't do anything, I didn't mean like to diminish this man's entire legacy.
Oh no, see, no. Wait a minute. I know where you listen. I knew what I was doing. Good God Almighty. I ain't saying Frederick. Listen, I ain't saying Frederick. I'm having a reverse conversation so folks can understand.
I wanted to say that we're not at all taken away from Dr. King. That's not.
I know. Listen, I did it on purpose.
I started the statement. I said it before Frederick said it.
I apologize.
Clarify.
To diminish this
you're not gonna make me yell because you know I'm bored. What I'm saying is, everything has its place in history, people.
Right.
Dr. King led a righteous fight.
Yes, he did.
Period. That statement stands by itself. But as time evolves, people evolve, agendas evolve, and the way you attack those things evolve. So my point is, back in his time, when our people boycotted Montgomery, and for 365 plus days, they did not get on those buses. It's not going to work now. And let me quantify the statement. It's not that particular tactic won't work. It is because in 2020, we live in an instant gratification society. So because of those things, the patience that our people had then to wait out the storm, our people don't have now. Our babies
lack of attention span.
Because we're the last of those who understand that patience is a virtue. So at this point, and TC, I see you in the comments. I absolutely agree with you. It is anarchy. And I will say this to you. This whole country was started on anarchy, darling. We ended up here because the British got mad at their king and they rolled out. They didn't want to follow the rules over there. So they built something here. The point of the matter is not how we got here. Because it doesn't matter how we got here at this point. The damage is done. We are suffering. We're unwinding. How do we fix it?
What do we do from here?
And here on the Love Show, I know I speak for everyone when I say we are solutions driven. I'm not going to sit here for 90 minutes and bang you across the head with information. At this point, we have to come together and find a resolution because it's not working. It's not working. Peaceful
and that's what they're counting on. They're counting on us not to unite.
Right. And peaceful protest, if you remember early on, was infringed upon. And that's a right. Peaceful protest is a right. And they were ushering people out of the streets in peaceful protests. So what do? You escalate
Right.
because you weren't listening when I was quiet. You knocked the door over now because when I was quiet, you weren't listening to me. It's an escalation. Do I agree with violence? Absolutely not. However, it's signs of war. Do you understand we're in civil war at this point?
They don't care for one
Oh,
or
hold
another.
on. So hold on. I want everybody to understand that I was definitely reversing the narrative on that. When I said I disagree with Frederick, I purposely
Yeah.
because folks will sit here and say that we agree with each other all day long, and that we don't want to become the black extremists, the black extremist group, and other things of that nature. So I purposely took what he said and reversed it on purpose. I know he's not saying that Martin Luther King did nothing. I know that. I'm doing that to reiterate what Martin Luther King did do, and I understand that his efforts and his methods didn't get the job fully done because he died. He died and was assassinated And the reason why I said died, sorry, I could say he died. Okay, I can say that. Assassinated uh, in efforts to try to get us to a better place, in which 50 years later we are now in the same, if not worse, case.
It's
Which
depressing.
means,
It's depressing.
which means nobody was paying. Which means from 1963, 4, 5 wasn't paying attention. From that point to now, nobody was paying attention, or not enough people was paying attention because now we back here again, and it's not good that we back here again because we shouldn't be back here again at all. People should come together. People should come together. There should be conversations. There should be conversations with solutions. And with those solutions need to be acted upon. Because guess what? A solution is without action. A solution without action is that little capsule that you see with that liquid stuff that's in it, that stays in that tube. But what is the solution good if that solution stays in the tube? It's nothing. It just sits there. So, um, yeah, that's why. And again, and this is not to pat Rise Up family on the back, but I will pat Rise Up family on the back until the death of me. Okay. That's why Rise Up family does what we do. And as far as the love show and letting voices empower and bringing people together, you see it. There's actions being taken to do just that. So I love the conversation. I don't care if you're an antagonist, an instigator, if you're a realist, if you're someone who loves truth. The conversation is happening. Okay. I just also want to say real quick while everybody talking, I just wanted to talk about how Martin Luther King is Great March on Washington. I think we know about that. I think we know his speech intensified the movement, civil rights movement. We're not even going to talk about how he was on Time magazine in 1963 in a time where folks didn't care. Oh yeah, go look it up. Go look it up. It's in the January 1964 edition. He was in there. Folks said that he had a disapproval rate that was worse than what most folks think. Um, I mean, I feel like if you ain't got no haters, you ain't doing something right. Anyway.
In this country, we look back on Dr. King with rose-colored glasses. We look at Dr. King through the lenses of 2020, 2018, 2019, where we think we are a better civilization. Oh, he was a great, and it's funny because I posted this on my Facebook today. It was a meme I came across. It says, "I'll be blunt. A lot of you would not have supported Martin Luther King Jr. back in the day. You would have supported the Birmingham Police Department, and at this point, it's easy to tell who you are." And I was saying stuff like this when the whole Colin Kaepernick protest coming up, because I was like, I'm putting him in that category with like a Rosa Parks, him taking that stand and getting the conversation started, and everybody like, "Oh, I hate Colin," and I'm like, you would have hated Rosa Parks and all these people that you revere now because you've been told, because they did great things and blah blah blah. But the people now that are like, "Well, I don't understand the problem," and what about black on black crime, and the people with these same talking points that try to hold on to being on this wrong side of the fence. How do you think you would have thought about these people if you were there in the moment? not with the benefit of looking back on them 52 years later, but being there in the moment. You'd have been asking yourself, I don't understand why she can't just sit in the back of the bus where she's supposed to. I don't understand why he's out walking across bridges. I don't understand why they let him speak at Washington, because these are the same questions that you're asking now. They've just been updated to fit today's times. But the questions are the thinking, the train of thought for these questions is the exact same. Exact same.
Selena, like
Selena's soaking.
Yeah.
She's soaking.
She is over there.
I am soaking it in.
I'm looking for smoke.
Our baby is married.
I had talked to you guys privately about wanting to learn history, and so I'm learning a lot of that right now. I'm still curious about those two words I threw out earlier.
Selena, like, so we just not going. We just.
Selena said so. I need more insight on martial law.
Selena wants to talk about martial law. Let's go.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious because I've seen the word thrown out there about the Portland protests, and could it lead to martial law? Frederick and I have had a conversation about martial law before.
I'll take your word for it, sure.
You don't remember? It was on the phone.
Conversations, but so martial law is the imposition of direct military control of normal civil functions or suspension of civil law by a government, especially in response to a temporary emergency where civil forces are overwhelmed or in an occupied territory. So a lot of that is what we're seeing right now fits into a lot of what that definition is. So could there be martial law? Absolutely. And again, like I've said this when this whole pandemic started, like it's kind of like a movie, and we're never gonna know what the plan is, what the goal was, unless we're around to see the end of the movie. Unfortunately, it looks like the end of this movie might be within the next few years, so we might see it.
It's a horror movie.
Yeah, but it's a whole lot, because you're like, all right, if there is martial law, is it just Trump? Is it bigger than Trump? Is it some, Rothschilds, Rockefeller, and George Soros type stuff? Is it? I mean, unfortunately, we at the point now, it's just kind of like, you wake up every day like, all right, where are we at in the movie? And as the theme of this show has been like, at what point are we going to start? Are we going to kick the door down and be like, you know what? We're going to start writing this movie. We're not just going to sit here and be extras in this movie. At what point are we going to start starring in this action movie and, rewriting scripts and things like that?
Well, I got a question for y'all.
Yes, sir.
And this is maybe a little off contrary. Do you know what happens to inmates during martial law?
No, enlighten me.
Do you know that due process is suspended during martial law? Did you know that inmates remain in prison and are not allowed to engage in any type of programs that remove them from the facilities until Point said martial law is lifted? Did you know that?
I didn't know. I learn something new every day. I'm on it now.
It makes sense based on the definition of martial law, though.
Right. But here's the thing. If we've got all these young civil leaders, these Antifa leaders, these Black Lives Matter leaders that are being snatched up and brought in, and then the martial law is implemented, that means they just sit in cages. Is that not correct, Andre?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, correct.
If I snatch you up and we implement martial law on Wednesday, then you just got to sit, and we don't have to give you due process. And then now that because as we saw with the case of Black people, going back to Martin Luther King, all of our leaders were murdered. And like you said, in the 65, 66, 67, the 70s, 80s, people weren't really paying attention, weren't really focused because we didn't have leadership. So if you've got these groups that are leading the charge of this American Revolution that needs to happen, if we can take these leaders and snatch them up and remove them from their groups and just kind of let them sit somewhere and implement martial law and destroy these movements.
Do you know how many times martial law has been declared in the United States? I feel like vitamin E. I'm about to start feeding people real quick.
Feed us.
Give them what they need. Give them the nutrients.
I can think of a couple of wars where it was implemented.
Go ahead, name one.
Which
one?
As a matter of fact, Utah. At one point, They were in an unrest situation, and the martial
Yeah.
law was implemented. And just to dumb down the definition, not that I'm saying that anybody's stupid, but we don't know like who's listening. Martial law is basically stripping away the Bill of Rights. So if you're stripping that away from the people, the inmates are, a part of that. Like the Constitution is no longer valid once martial law is implemented. It's no longer
no
valid.
right. You have no right. Nah.
Martial law has been declared 9 times.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
9 times since World War II. And in 5 instances, it was designed to counter-resist federal desegregation decrees in the South. 5 instances out of the 9 since World War II. I just want you to let that sit for a second.
So let that marinate for a second.
Not marinate.
Can't let it marinate with. I'm not.
So if you've seen that 5 times during that time, and we seeing civil distress right now.
Right.
I'm just wondering, when is it gonna happen?
So here's the thing. We're sitting here and we're talking about martial law, but understand in all of these instances, martial law was not implemented across the whole United States, right?
Okay.
And that was a statement, not a question. As we are looking at this movement as a whole, because Vitamin E and Dre are in Buffalo, Selena's in Wisconsin, Fred's in Nevada, I'm in Maryland. What do you think would have to happen for 45 to attempt to enact martial law across the whole United States? And what do you think will be our local government's response to that?
That just made my stomach hurt thinking about it.
Look, I'm so sorry. Elena, I'm so sorry because I saw it. I saw your whole face. Jesus, go ahead, Fred.
Just the thought of it literally makes me nauseous. I'm like, we supposed to have came too far for all of this. And it's like we're going backwards. Like history just repeating itself. And I'm ready for the progress. Like I'm just over it.
Vontae Hicks, call in, darling. Call in.
So I feel like giving y'all some more premise, because here's the times that martial law was used. Okay. It was used in the Battle of New Orleans.
Yeah.
It was used after the Great Fire of Chicago. It was used after the 1906 San Francisco earthquake. It was used during the Omaha race riot in 1919. 1920, the Lexington riots. It was used during the Utah War, which you already mentioned earlier, petition. It was used during the 1934 West Coast waterfront strike. It was used in Hawaii after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. During the civil rights movement in response to the Cambridge riots in 1963. Okay. Those are the times it was used. It has never been a time where it has been across the whole entire United States of America. Not once.
Andre, in all those times, has there ever been martial law enacted after a country's been dealing with a pandemic for 5 or 6 months?
Right. How about that?
Well, Patty.
Has any of those times been, as the United States has been the focal point for the largest civil rights protest the world has ever seen? Where we had, because to answer Letitia's question, just off the top of my head, what would it take for it to be nationwide? If you have Democrat-run cities that have civil unrest all across the nation, to where you can't just pinpoint it to one region like the South.
I got a caller too.
I didn't think so.
Yep.
Go ahead, finish, but I got a caller.
That was it. Just with all these Democrat-ran cities peppered around that are the problem, these Democrat-ran cities. And then, we've got this virus situation going on. So
what about about the fact that it's an election year?
That too.
All right, hey caller, what's going on from Colorado? State your name. You on the Love Show?
It's Vontae Hicks. What's happening? People?
Vontae Hicks is in the house. What's up?
Man, it's like this whole subject, man. It's a matter of you can't. There's nothing you can do when you have so many people on different sides of the fence. As a country, we've never thought as one. We've never came together as one. We've never learned from the mistakes that we made in the past to push forward. So when you haven't learned from your downfall, that's the biggest downfall of them all.
Yeah, you're just gonna keep repeating it. Yeah.
You're gonna continue to make those same mistakes again. And we talked about, what Martin Luther King stood for, what Malcolm X stood for, what Rosa Parks did, what all of these civil rights activists did in the 60s, 50s. There was some before those in the 30s and 40s, and, we as a nation, as a country, as a whole, we got complacent and content with what they had accomplished and what was given to us instead of taking what was owed to us.
Right.
And that's the biggest issue. Like we've learned to get complacent with what's given to us instead of going out there and taking.
Absolutely.
Let's look at it. Let's look at it on the fact that America wasn't given to us; it was taken.
Right.
You're talking about a country that was built, and people may get mad when I say this. It was built by pirates, thieves, and rapists.
Sure.
That's what this country was built by. And
truth is a light. The truth.
The sooner people learn and understand the truth, then that can make for a better tomorrow. But until you really look at it on that level and understand it on that level, like I don't feel that we can unify the way that we need to make this country better.
Right.
And that's just my outlook on the whole situation. In a nutshell, like it's all about, coming together. You got the government who has pretty much pitted us into factions as far as the tax bracket. That's the faction bracket. Like you think of movies like The Hunger Games and stuff like that. It's not like that to the T, but it's real life. That's what we living right now.
Yeah.
We pitted against off of the amount of dollar signs and amount of zeros and commas that you got in your bank account. That's just the breakdown.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
That's the biggest problem. And I heard Andre say, a solution with no action. Like a solution with no action, that's only gonna make a greater problem. That's all it's gonna do. Because all you have is a solution. And without no action, that solution is gonna get overridden and more problems are gonna become until that solution actually gets acted upon. And then once that solution finally gets acted upon, it's too late because it's time for another solution.
Absolutely.
So, it's gonna break down for the eyes of the American citizens to actually see that we have been pitted against each other, whether you're black, white, Asian, Mexican, Puerto Rican, whatever your nationality is. Like, we've been pitted against each other and put into factions as far as race, as far as economic wealth. You know, and as far as those things goes, you know, like we can only change that as the people. You know, the quickest way to get politicians to listen to us and hear us and understand what we're saying is to mess with their money. That's the only way. That's the only thing.
Hit them where it hurts. Absolutely, hit them where it hurts.
That's
in their pocket.
You know, and that's just my outlook. You know what I'm saying? Like I got a lot more I can say, but you know, I'm not trying to steal the show. I just had to get that out. You know what I'm saying?
You're not stealing the show, sir.
You know.
Thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, appreciate y'all for let me put that out there and get that out.
Definitely.
Yes, you let your voice be heard, baby. Let your voice be heard. Period.
Absolutely.
And Vontae, we'll talk later, brother.
All right, brother. Much love.
No doubt. All right. So we got to get to another commercial. Sorry about that. We got to get to another commercial. We got more unpacking to do. I think we got a game show coming up. We got games coming up. Yeah. And we got lovely chat. Ooh.
Comments?
I'm laughing at the chat. Y'all is hilarious. All right. We will be back with the place that, you know, lets our voices empower. You know what it is, man. It's the Love Show. Let's get it. We'll be back after these commercials.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Daniel. Check out sports shows on the fastest growing streaming TV network, the OnPoint Network. You can stream it on Roku, Amazon, Fire Stick, Apple TV, Xbox, YouTube, and Facebook. Download the OnPoint channel and network app to any smart device. It's free, everybody. It's free.
Putting too much into it. Yeah. Let's get this fire started. Sports became my passion. Time will bring it to life, highlighting all the action. Opinions to this world like a chemical reaction. If we started from the bottom, now rise up the newest caption. Man, it's known that every team and every person got an nemesis. But there's a similarity that's more full of our differences. Statements can't get real, better back it up with evidence. Prove it for the record, watch the hour of deliverance. Haters outside the lines, but we do it quite frankly. Cause I'm around the horn, so you start to interrupt it. Cause I hate that they be spreading. Cause the unwanted production, plus I gotta do it all. And it ain't up for discussion, man. Them blood, sweat, and tears, man, they measure up my actions. Yes. Y'all know what it is, man. Them blood, sweat, and tears, man, they measure up accolades. For sure. We on the Love Show where, man, y'all better be measuring up these accolades. I'm telling you. I'm claiming it right now. Guess what, y'all?
What?
We will be going to an award show coming up. When it's time for them awards to be passed out, you better believe us, Rise Up Family right here, we're gonna be right on that stage, all right? Get ready. I'm telling you, because don't nobody do it better than us. Second to none. You know why I put it up every time. I put it up every time almost.
Period. Love show.
Love show, baby. We let our voices empower.
Throw it up the side.
And now I gotta throw up this. Man, I gotta throw up the sign right, man. And if you know what this means, by the way, this means reverse the hate. By the way, this is reverse. This is hate. Double horn. Rise up. R-U in sign language. By the way. Oh, yeah.
That's it.
There's a meaning to it. There's a meaning, real meaning. So you just learned it. So when you see me throw it up, it ain't a gang sign. It's a way of life.
No.
All right.
No gang. No.
No gang. No gang. No gang. But we've been talking about gangs and peaceful protests and martial. Would you call martial law a gang? Gang.
Yeah.
All right. So where are we going? Where are we going next? We game showing it. We game showing it, or we continuing? I mean, I think we got like 30 minutes left in the show. Maybe that, because when we having a whole lot of fun, the time goes by quick. Oh my goodness, we are at 1 hour 26 minutes. Lord Jesus,
we got real deep. We went real deep about Portland. Ooh.
Y'all got real deep today.
We went in. Yeah.
So,
I just want to throw this out, this last little thing to finish up Selena's, 2 words and a nice little bow. So this is what I'm looking at. I'm just looking this up. If there was martial law, what would happen is that at noon, January 20th, 2021, Trump and Pence, their term would end, and then the presidency would succeed to the Speaker of the House, which would be, at this point, Nancy Pelosi. So we know good and well that 45 doesn't want that. So.
Okay.
I learned something new today.
Here's the thing.
Took a note, jotted it down.
Supposed to happen. So whether or not that does, we don't know, but that's what it's supposed to happen.
That's what my question was.
The term of the presidency will end when it's supposed to end, and then if we have not had an election, then we just go into the chain of succession. So
that's why I asked about during an election year, because Frederick, this was the conversation that you and I had before, and you don't remember, but I remember, and it was on the phone. But
we talked about a lot of stuff that day.
We did, but we had talked about what would happen if we went into martial law and who would be president, and it must have went off into that. And so I was curious what happened with the president. Would he continue still being the president? Well, now I know. Okay.
Yeah, that's supposed
to. So he don't want that. 45 don't want that.
But then,
okie dokie, Smokey.
I was going to bring up a scenario, but I ain't trying to get that dark on y'all. So never mind. Unless y'all want that.
Jello Beats, holla at me.
What they at? What they at? What they at?
Oh, they just going to them cities, get them gas though.
I just want to say, next week, I think we're going to start off the love show with a game show. Next week.
All right.
Maybe we can start off the show with a game show next week. Cannot believe that we just unpacked 90 minutes.
I can.
Yes, I can. You know why I can?
That's easy.
Because none of us were keeping track of time.
Oh, I'm keeping track.
I was about to
say why.
But there's people minds on the panel.
Yeah.
This is why right here.
Big callers.
Right here.
Appreciate everybody in the chat.
So we're 4 minutes left in the show, y'all. Audience.
So we're gonna end the show how we started it. We started the show off.
Dancing? Were
Yes.
we dancing?
Yes, it was.
I thought we were ending with our positive affirmations, guys. We can turn up
I want to shout out a couple people that's in the comment section. Chuck Colby, shout out to you. Vontae Hicks, William Richter, shout out to you. TC Casey, shout out to you. Ryan Go, my bro, shout out to you. It is good to see you, my brother. It is always good to see you, my brother. Yes.
Chris Fisher.
Monday nights. Make sure you tune in to the Love Show right before Monday Night Madness. We let them voices empower.
Hey, can I read this question conversation? Because this is a very powerful question. So Mr. BJ Samuel says, because we keep talking about, learning and teaching. He says, who's teaching though? Everyone's always talking about learning the truth. Who's teaching the truth and not just what they know or what they want to put out there? And to me, I think that's one of the biggest problems we have right now is we live in the greatest country on earth and we smack dab in the middle of the information age, but who can we rely on to get information from?
Yeah, a reliable source. Yeah.
Sources. Who can we turn to and be like, you know what, I can go to this source and they are going to give me the information as correct as they possibly can. No bias, no filler, no agenda. Like,
right.
So that's
a good question.
That's why these conversations are sorry.
No, go ahead, Selena.
That's why these conversations are so important because we can see what's going on all over our country and get a perspective and then try and go deeper to the root and find out where, what else is going on. Man. Just to have these conversations and the ones in the comments.
Absolutely. Shout out to Vontae Hicks. Shout out to the whole Rise Up family. Shout out to the OnPoint Network. Shout out to everyone who supports us. Continue to support us. This is the movement, man. If you don't know, man, you better know. I'm telling you that now. It's not you should know. You better know. It is what it is. I said what I said. All right. Love y'all to death. Wow. What a heck of a show. We want to talk about, woo, Lord Jesus. And just to remind y'all one more time as we go out, I just want to know.
Jello Beats, holla at me.
What they at do? What they at do? What they at do? What they at do?
All them people fighting for justice.
What they at do?
Where they at though?
What they at do? What they at do? What they at?
All them people that's violating rights.
What they at? What they at?
All the people that's doing what's right regardless of what's legal.
That's facts.
What they at do?
All them people that's doing right.
Where they at though? Where them arrest warrants at though?
I'm looking. And my eyes big, and I don't see them.
Where them my
eyes real big.
You got him chair dancing.
Colorado. Where them arrest warrants at?
Where they at?
Chuck Colby say he dancing in his chair right now.
Where they at?
Okay.
Where they at?
You know she about to really doesn't get a fly off.
All them people that say they gonna rise up.
Where you at though?
Where was the music last week when I was drunk? Because I can.
We love y'all, man. What's up, Destiny McClain? What's good, Destiny? Throw some likes and hearts in the air for yourselves on Facebook right now. We ain't ended the show until y'all do, by the way. I'll let y'all know right now. This is the place where we let our voices empower. Go ahead, y'all. Throw them things in the air one time. Till next Friday, we'll see y'all again. Yeah. Love Show. When we let them empower. We let them voices empower.
just different.